de bacalhau Maria.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another Sporting160EN podcast. That was our own Steph Teixeira singing to you there. We got a good one. This is podcast number 47, where all we'll be talking about is the Taça Portugal final between Porto and Sporting. Before getting into it, though, let's go straight to the panel. Let's go to the usual, the Sporting160EN crew. Starting off with Nando. Nando, how you doing, bro?
What's up, man? How are you doing?
Great, bro. Feeling great.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. Glad to be on for another podcast.
Hell yeah, bro.
Next one, of course. It's our boy Christian. Christian, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Feeling, in hindsight or in retrospect, looking back on everything this season, firmly determining that it could have been worse. So not bad, and looking forward for all the games and all the shit that's going to go down this summer, and keeping you guys updated here.
For sure. And last but not least, the man with the with the great vocal cords, my boy Steph. Steph, how you doing, man?
Oh, well, thank you so much for the compliment. I appreciate that.
Easily the best singer out of Sporting 160.
I was just singing the Maria e o Bacalhau, but I'm very happy. I mean, it was not an easy game, which we'll talk about it. Porto did dominate, but the final results of winning two cups, Taça da Liga and Taça Portugal, it's phenomenal after what happened to Sporting the whole a year ago in May. So I'm very content.
For sure. And to our guests, of course, first off, our first Portista here, Stephen Borges at Stephen Borge LO2 on Twitter, by the way, if you want to follow him. Stephen, how you doing, bro?
I'm good, man. Thank you for the introduction, and thank you for having me on the podcast.
Man, it's actually Stephen Borges Lopes.
My bad. Stephen Borges.
I'm just saying that because his father's Benfiquista and he might beat you up. So
I think I'd be more worried if he was a Sporting fan because we do the beating up here.
No luck on that. But my cunhados are Benfiquistas. Yeah.
Fair enough. And of course, last but not least, this man needs no introduction. I think he's very well known on Twitter from 3-2
Troublemaker.
Bruno Ferreira, bro. What's up?
How you doing, guys? Thank you for the invite. Let's start talking.
All right. A lot to talk about. I'll start off with both starting 11s first. So for Sporting, we had Renan Ribeiro in net, Marcos Acunha, Mathieu Coates, and Gaspar at right back. We had... this isn't even the starting... Okay. Sorry. I have to freestyle here. We have Goudelli, Bruno Fernandes, and Wendell in midfield with Luis Felipe, Diaby, and Rafinha up top, with then substitutions of Ilori, Doumbia, Jefferson, and Dost. Porto's starting 11 was as follows. Vanna, Inet, Felipe, Maxi Pereira, Pep, and Militão in defense.
No, not Maxi. Maxi didn't start.
Sorry, who's Pereira 22 here?
No, it's
Danilo.
Danilo, sorry. Okay, let me get a different app because this one's fucking up on me.
You sure? You sure? Hey, Bruno, do you have it?
I got it.
I have it.
No, I don't have it.
Okay, sorry. So it's Vanna net, Alex Telles, Pep, Felipe, and Eder Militão in defense. Danilo Pereira, Hector Herrera, Otavio in midfield. Suarez, Brahimi, and Marega up top. Sorry about that.
No worries. Don't do it again, though.
Yeah, my bad. Bruno, I'll start off with you, bro. What are your thoughts on the game?
My thoughts were very simple. We completely outplayed Sporting, and we just did not have the luck of the game. I had the opportunity to speak with Steph about the game after, and it was just an unfortunate sequence. I mean, you look back. 2 semifinals, 2 finals against Sporting the last couple of years, and then I think there was another cup final somewhere. Once we go into penalties, I don't even think it's more of a physical thing. I think it's a mental thing that we just can't beat Sporting when it goes to penalties. This is a game that should have been resolved in the 90th minute. If you listen to feedback from the administration and the coaching staff and players from Porto, they never mentioned anything about the officiating. They took the blame 100% that they just weren't competent enough to score the goals. We had more than enough chances to put you guys away at the minimum in the second half, at the minimum. Um, at the end of the day, we just, we shot ourselves in the foot. We just didn't do what we needed to do.
Fair enough. Steve, what are your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, same thing as Bruno says, but just to elaborate on a couple of things. Obviously, Porto did dominate. You saw in big moments we just didn't finish, and as you know, if you got to score to win, and obviously that didn't happen. Obviously, Porto didn't say anything about the officiating, and I'm saying this as a Porto fan. I think some of the officiating was questionable. I mean, let's be honest here. I think that Suarez goal, there was a handball on that play. So I think at that point of the game, I'm not saying I was disgusted, but I was kind of disappointed that if we were to win, that we would win in that fashion. I'm just saying that as a football fan in general. But with that being said, since we did get a little bit of the advantage because of that questionable goal, I thought we would have done better to control the game. And then as you saw before the end of the first half, Sporting got that one goal from Bruno Fernandes' shot that deflected off of Danilo. So that kind of gave some hope to Sporting going into the second half. And I think that's where we lost some of the control. Because even though we came out in the second half still dominating, I think that goal before the half ending, that still affected Porto's squad because, again, the game was still evened out. And I think that affected us till the 90th minute. Once they scored again for Sporting, then we were just playing catch up. And, I was excited. They were making a lot of chances. I screamed when they scored that goal towards the end of the game. But again, a lot of it is luck. We weren't clinical with the penalty kicks when it mattered. Also playing with the goalie that hasn't been starting most of the season. Unfortunately, he was put in that circumstance where we didn't have our starting goalkeeper. I'm glad our starting goalkeeper is, recovering from the heart attack and everything like that. So I think, again, with that also that affected the squad because I think we came in there to have an emotional game where we were going to win it, for our goalie, for the team after all what's going on with this whole season. And I think the goalie that was, playing today, he didn't have a lot of experience as, with penalty kicks or any experience at all. But again, it's about finishing. If you don't finish, you leave opportunities for the other team to score.
Steven, he actually lost the Taça da Liga shootout.
Really? So, I mean, that it makes it even worse. So, again, but it happens. We still need to finish with our penalty kicks. I think Herrera, when he went to take his penalty kick, he looked nervous. I think that can affect. You got to shoot the ball with confidence. If you look any type of nervous, then that's going to mess you up. And then with that guy, Andrade, when he went to take the shot, I had a feeling he was going to miss. I knew he would probably go with the finesse shot to the right, not with a lot of power. And, it happened. So, in a way, it's sad that we lost. But I think before the game, I already knew we were going to lose. I even made a bet with my dad that we would have lost. So, I made $20. So, even though I didn't come out a winner as a Portista, I came out a winner with $20. So, it is what it is.
Yeah, man. Man. And all right, let's move on to the Sporting point of view, I guess. Steph, starting off with you. What are your thoughts on the game?
Well, I tend to agree with both Portuguese, but it, at the same time, we did have our chances to score goals. I remember a few off the top of my head. We had Bruno Fernandes shot outside the box at minute number 10, which what's his name, Vanna, the goalkeeper.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he pulled a nice save, which he's a professional goalkeeper. To him, it wasn't that difficult, but never know, the ball could hit the ground and skip and go in. But he behaved well. Then Rafinha outside the box as well. He missed another great chance of goal near the left post. Then we had another chance, minute 34, that a great play from Diaby, which Bruno Fernandes was inside the box and he totally missed the ball. I don't know if you guys remember that play. Usually he hits it, but he missed it, totally missed it. And then we scored at minute 45. But besides that, Porto did dominate. I'm pretty sure you're going to ask a couple questions in relation to a couple questionable calls, so I won't mention it. But if you do forget to mention it, I will bring it up.
For sure.
But yeah, so
you or anybody.
If the MVP of the game was Mathieu, it means a lot. It means that that Porto, they will play offensively 80% of the game, and Marega is a beast. To hold him, it's impossible. And he was just killing both of our center backs, but both of our center backs, they were crucial in knowing how to play him. They knew the ball would be sent behind their back, and they had to make that crucial cut, alleviate the ball. Because if Marega takes off, forget about it. You'll never stop him. So no, to be fair, it was a game that we had a strategy. We lost both of our fullbacks, the left fullback and the right fullback. I think that was very important to Sporting in a negative way, of course. Not having Ritovski, you have Bruno Gaspar that was hurt, just came back from an injury without rhythm, and he sucks anyway. I mean, even with rhythm, and then we lost Borja, which is in great form, and he's good offensively. So not having Borja, we had to drop Acuna, which was significant because when you have both of them together in the left wing, Sporting functions differently. And then Wendell had to compensate a lot more. So Rafinha was off. I know we won the Taça Portugal and everyone is happy. He was crucial on that defensive play. I give him that. But offensively, it was non-existent. It was one of his worst games I ever seen him play. He couldn't even pass the ball properly. We gave the ball back to Porto way too easy when we should have held it many times to put water into the flames. Like our midfield was shot. So we got lucky because when we were up 2-1 with 20 seconds left, I was actually standing up and I was next to the TV. My mother-in-law was making fun of me. She's like, "Are you playing the game?" I'm like, I was literally almost inside the box, and I was kicking, something, but I was trying to help the defense because they were taking so long to alleviate the ball. You
did a shitty job clearing the ball then.
Yeah, bro. Were you the one controlling Bruno Gaspar then? I think it was you fuck.
Quando Porto scored the goal, eu era assim, foda-se, não é fora de jogo, nem o caralho. But no, it was a clean goal. And I was celebrating, I was all happy, and then it was like a bucket of cold water dropped into my head. Then I took a deep break, deep breath, and I went to get a beer. And I'm like, okay, you know what? We got the penalties, and usually Porto, chokes on it. And of course, typically of Sporting, they have to make us suffer. They had to miss the goddamn first penalty. Yeah. It goes without saying. El Sporting. If you want to be Sportingista, go to your cardiologist because it's not for everybody to be Sportingista. And I don't know how we pulled it off, and we won in penalties, and God bless Sporting, and I was very happy. But Porto did play better, and that's all I gotta say. I'll wait for the questions you might have about certain cases.
Fair. Nando, I'll pass it off to you next, dude. What do you think?
Yeah, man, I think everybody here pretty much nailed it on the head. Like Porto dominated. Facts, right? I mean, we can go back and we can talk this or that, or was that a handball? Was that a red card? Whatever, penalty kick or not. But Porto played the better game. They had the incentive, not the incentive. They had the ball at their feet the vast majority of the game. They had the more possession. They completely outshot us. This is over 120 minutes. I think I got the stats pulled up here. I mean, they had 26 shots. We had 11. We had 44% possession. They had 56. More pass accuracy. We had more fouls. So, like, we were more defensive. They were more attacking, and they definitely knew what they were trying to do. Now, with that being said, I think Sporting played a little smarter than I think I'm used to, especially with these bigger clubs. We obviously have had our number against Porto now for several years, especially in the Taca games, things of that nature. I think it's quite a while since the last time Porto beat us for a knockout type game. But we got lucky. We played a little smart, played to our advantage, let Porto do their thing, and we kind of just got scrappy with it. Porto had some clear chances at the beginning. The chances that Sporting had that Steph talks about, for me, they're kind of like 50-50 because, if you don't shoot, you don't score. But at the same time, like the Rafinha one was probably like a really good shot. The Bruno Fernandes before that, he just takes a shot. He tries. But that was an okay save. He didn't have to do too much. But then our goal was lucky, right? I mean, it would either have been an offside against us if it touched our player, didn't. It touched Porto's player, and it was a goal for Sporting. If that ball comes out, Danilo, if that ball comes out normally, I think the Porto's goalie, grabs that pretty easily, or it hits Sporting's player, and then it's offside. So we got lucky with that goal too. I almost think that we got a little bit lucky with Bas Dost's goal. To be quite honest with you, I think Porto's defense kind of fell asleep there. I don't know quite, like, that play just seemed really weird. Like nobody quite understood what the hell was going on.
It was a flip. It was a flip that ele viu mal com o joelho.
Yeah. You're right. But see what I'm saying? Like, tudo pouco like atrapalhão, you know what I mean? Like Sporting's approach to the game, we had some decent moments. But at the end of the day, yeah, we won, and if we had lost, we would have sat here and said, era uma derrota com justiça. We played poorly, but we won. So you got to take them how you get them. But yeah, I agree with pretty much everybody that has spoken so far and what they've talked about. Porto played better, but Sporting got luckier, and it's a mental thing now against Porto. I think it's gotten to the point where when we do play Porto in these games, I think Portistas, I think Porto players, coaching staff, etc., have to think about in the back of the mind, like, is this shit going to end up the same as usual? When Porto scored that goal at the end there, I thought that was a wrap, man. I was at a wedding outside listening to the game, and I was like, this sucks. Like, that's all momentum, right? Going right into penalty kicks. But at the same time, at the back of my mind, I was like, but it's penalty kicks, right? We've got this usually in the back. So we got lucky. We played to our advantage a little bit, and hey, we got the win.
Yeah. And Chris, last but not least, I don't know. A lot has been said, so I know I'm putting you in a tough spot. But what are your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, man, it's a cup final. It's a one-off game. I know anything can happen. It's very emotional game. I don't really think that if you look at anyone's individual performances, that there was really too many players out there who were spectacular. I thought obviously Mathieu was pretty good. Coates was pretty good. Herrera was pretty good. Renato Ribeiro was pretty good. Outside of that, I mean, everyone was just pretty average all around the board if you just look at it in a vacuum. But it was pretty much. Obviously Sporting had a couple spells, maybe 20 minutes of the 90 and then 70 were dominated by Porto. Sporting entered the game well, so it kind of, made me feel optimistic, but then it quickly pretty much just resumed where we left off in the Jornada 34 game, where we got pretty much played off the pitch in a similar fashion and, got a goal off the break. And then, just 2 goals off set pieces, and we were deserved losers. But maybe on another day, the defense is able to hold out, and we got some fortunate bounces, and at the end of the day, we conceded a goal at the end, which maybe if that doesn't go in, if it doesn't go in, we win the game, and we're pretty much undeserved winners. So I think that, the two games weren't totally dissimilar, but I thought that at least in this one, Sporting played with more, passion. I thought that the last game of the season was not, there wasn't much, emotion. I mean, understandably, it's a meaningless game for Sporting and it's a cup final. So there's a difference there. But I mean, as far as the outcome and the way the game played out, it was effectively pretty similar. But yeah, I mean, I was thrilled with the outcome. I did think that just as far as the momentum was concerned, it's tough to concede a goal in the 121st minute and then 5 minutes later shoot PKs. Bazdos picked a hell of a moment to miss his first PK, and that made me think that it might not happen for us.
Same.
But Renan is I mean, he's kind of made a reputation for himself as being pretty good at penalty kicks. So I think that I guess it's an interesting thing to kind of hang your hat on, is being good at PKs. It's not always the most vital skill to have, but there are some great goalies who are just not good at PKs. I mean, that's just the way it is. And Renan's an average goalie, but he's definitely above average as far as saving PKs. So, and to be in that situation, it's kind of who you want in there, as opposed to a also average goalie who's primarily a backup who isn't that good at PKs. And all he needed was that one. Center backs are notorious for missing PKs. Philippe and Milito missed in the Taça da Liga final. Pep missed in this one. Kawats has missed plenty in his day. I thought he was going to miss again for sure. And he was probably the most unconvincing PK out of all of them. But yeah, I mean, PKs is a lottery. And, I think that for us, if we just look at the game and how it played out, the fact that it even got to PKs, it's fortunate for us. And for us, the game being settled in PKs, whether we won or whether we lost, we can't really, complain about that, because had it gone to PKs and we lost, we didn't really even deserve to have gotten that far anyway. So just the way that things played out. And, I'm thrilled to win 2 trophies in a season for the first time in like 2 decades.
Yeah, for real.
Has it been that long? Jeez.
Almost 2 decades. It's been like 16 years, I think.
Yeah. Man. Anyways, let's get to the shits, to the real meet and greet of the conversation. I'll start off with I'll start off with a Porto point of view. So Bruno, I'll let you tackle this one. Herrera's or the Porto's first goal. There was a goal disallowed on an offside on Marega, I believe.
Yeah.
I think we can all agree just offside. I mean, he was a whole meter and a half. Second goal went in, potentially off Herrera's hand, maybe his chest. What's your point of view? And do you think VAR got it right?
Do I think that VAR got it right? I mean, he got it right to a certain extent, because there's no clear angle where you can see that it was played with the arm. I mean, remember, it's got to be conclusive, 100% non-debatable, and there's still people debating.
Bruno, what kind of TV do you have at home?
I wasn't. You know what? To be honest with you, I heard one of you guys talking about the second goal, the Porto second goal. It got completely ruined for me because some asshole Sportingista at the bar was listening to the relato on the game, on his phone.
I hate those people.
And he starts screaming "Golo," and everyone's at the bar like looking at him like, "Dude, are you fucking retarded? You just ruined the whole fucking moment."
Yeah,
so then,
but anyway, I hate those people.
So then he wasn't a Sportingista if he screamed goal.
No, he was, because he kept on. He started screaming goal from Bas Dost prior, and we were like, "Yo, chill with that." And then he does it again, and then like people got really pissed off at him, including Sportingistas. They were like, "Yo, dude, we're all trying to watch the game here. Have some respect."
Yeah.
But to me, it was. I don't think it was conclusive that there was a handball or not. I mean, I'm not going to say that it didn't hit his hand or it didn't hit his arm, but it has to be conclusive evidence that the ball never touched his arm. So I think VAR did a good job in saying play on.
Fair enough. Steph, I'll give it straight right back to you. What did you think of the goal?
Well, I'm gonna be a little bit more different than Porta. I thought that you could see that the ball hit his shoulder, his lower part of the shoulder, which I'm okay with that. I'm not gonna say, you know, that's not that's a handball inside the box. He did hit his arm, but when you look at the play, it's the lower part of the shoulder. He could have gone the other way, but the referee decided not to call, and I'm okay with that. I mean, I was more concerned that our defense stopped. That's what pissed me off, because instead of going on with the play, they were too busy complaining. Oh, it's a handball. I'm like, what the fuck? Just play the game. Don't stop. And that gave an advantage to Suarez, and then Suarez, he jumped well and he got the ball and he scored. But it could have gone the other way. You could clearly see that the ball hit the lower part of the shoulder, so it was not a handball. It was above the cotovelo. How do you say that? How do you say cotovelo?
Shoulder.
No.
Elbow.
Elbow.
Caralho.
For this, it was above the elbow. So to me, that's not a handball. So but you could see it, Bruno. That's why I was asking you. I have a Samsung from Germany, so I don't know what kind of TV you have. But
Steph, if it's above the elbow, then that's the arm is the handball.
Yeah, I know, but it
shoulder.
was like the shoulder's not considered.
The shoulder isn't. No, yeah.
Yeah, and it was the lower part of the shoulder. So I was okay with that. I was more pissed with the Sporting defense, which they stopped. You could see them complaining, hey!
Yeah.
And I was like, and you gave the advantage, the momentum to Suarez. So that's it.
Fair. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of with you there too, Steph. I agree with both of you. I think personally it is a handball, but like Bruno was saying, it's not clear cut. So I'm not mad with the goal being with the goal standing.
At all.
Yeah. So second other main controversial play is Kawat potentially should have gotten a red card on a clear handball in the 94th minute. It was an extra time. Porto trying to put I can't remember which striker it was that was through now. It might have been I don't know. I'll be guessing at this point. But anyways, Nando, I'll pass it off to you first. Do you think Quat should have gotten a red card for that?
No,
It
man.
was Suarez, by the way.
Suarez, okay.
No, I don't think so. I'm actually trying to go back now and relook at that because.
So the reason that they were saying it wasn't a red card was because he wasn't last man. It was Mathieu.
Yeah, right, exactly. That right there. Yeah, I don't think it is, man. I think a yellow card is fair. I think it's a yellow card fair because that would have been like mata-mata. Like you would have had to I don't know if VAR could have gone back and looked at that. Or if they even that far.
They could on any red card offensive player or whatever the same.
Right. So you got to go with the call on the field. Like if he had decided to go red, then it's like you got to go VAR, and then is it like indisputable evidence? Blah blah blah. I think a yellow is fair there, man. To be honest, I think Porto was reaching a little bit with that one. I think it was too right there, no mata-mata, that it could have gone either way. And I think that's fair because there just wasn't enough there for me that at least believe that guy would have been isolado by himself. Like that clear cut to the goal, that would have been a complete threat.
Steve, what about you, dude?
As far as the red card,
yeah,
I think Porto was reaching a little bit on that. To me, it looks more like a yellow card, and I think towards the end of the game, I don't think the ref was even going to call something like that late in the game with all that pressure. So I think it was the right call with the ref.
Pa grande sobrinho, pa. If I haven't told you enough, I love you, kid.
And Chris, I'll actually pass it off to you as well. What were your thoughts on that potential red?
Yeah, I think Mathieu is maybe a bit behind him, but I think the fact that Mathieu was actively running, so let's just say that ball would have gotten through. Mathieu was running, and like they would have met at about the same point, you know, and it would have been a one-on-one duel. So I definitely think that you know, it wasn't like there was no one else back. So yeah, I definitely think that it's the right call. And I think that, yeah, like Steven said, definitely the pressure of the moment for the referee. You know, you didn't want to give you know, a soft or a questionable red card in that moment. Obviously, it's probably tempting because it's such a blatant handball and, you know, like unsportsmanlike move. But yeah, I think he actually made the right call. And just as far as the Herrera goal, I think that the referee felt the pressure of the game again because he had just disallowed a goal 5 minutes prior. I mean, obviously, it was the right call to disallow the goal for offsides, but just like in the spirit of the game and you know, in the moment, it's tough to disallow another goal on such shaky grounds 5 minutes later. You know.
Yeah, fair. Listen, I'll be honest with you. I thought that should have been a red. Coates is clearly going. He was maybe even trying to play it off with his head, but he knows what he's doing there. He's stopping the play from going forward. Whether that's clear cut. I mean, I think this ball is landing right to Swatch still. I know Matthew's chasing him down and all, but I don't know. I think personally, in my opinion, I think Coates should see the red there. But all right, I don't know. Those are really. Oh, and the last real controversial point.
He's a bit far from the goal, though, Dan. You have to kind of factor that in as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
He would have had a lot to do, to say the least.
I'm cool. I'm cool with the yellow card. You know what I mean? So
I gotta weigh in on this. I really think this is a red card because now you're opening up a precedent going forward. So you're telling me if a ball is chipped over the top and I cut the ball with my hand, all I want is a yellow card. Yeah. So next year when Pep does it or anybody else, I don't want anybody complaining that it's no, it's not a red card, it's a yellow card, because that was basically playing volleyball. And Mathieu's not behind him because if you look, there's that one angle, that camera shot behind the Portugal where they're showing going to the Sporting goal. Suarez is through. Mathieu's not going to catch him because Mathieu is still probably about 8-9 yards to Suarez right. Yeah. He's not going to catch him. As fast as Mathieu is, he's not going to catch him. So I think this was a bad call. I think you're opening up a precedent. It is a difficult call. I do understand your point of view that it could be yellow, blah, blah. Dude, it's a red. Any part of the world, it's a red card.
I don't think so. I'm going to jump in too, of course. But there's no way it's a red card. You could see Mathieu is in front of depends how you look at it, in front of Coates or behind Coates, whatever. But and he's running on an angle. So when you're running on an angle, you gain a lot more ground. Suarez is not Marega. If it was Marega, maybe, but Suarez is slower than Marega. You would have caught him. But now, would it be a clean cut, a clearance? Maybe not, because maybe it would have to go to Carrinho. But that's why the referee, they only see facts. Not most of the time, because that's not always the case. We know that. But you know, VAR, they have how many cameras? 10 cameras seeing 10 different angles. So believe me, they wanted to get that call correct at 100% because it's a final. It's not only being watched in Portugal, it was being watched in France, many countries, US, Canada, and so on. So I think the amount of spectators on TV was over 6 million or something. So you could see clearly that Mathieu was going full speed and he would have caught Suarez. Of course, if you Portista, you'll say what Bruno just said. If he's Portuguese, you'll say what I just said.
I think it's just important that Mathieu, if you just freeze it when the ball actually hits his hand, because when the ball's played, Mathieu's in front of Mathieu's in front of Coates. But when the ball actually hits his hand, Mathieu is about 5-6 feet behind him, and I think that's an important detail. When Coates is actually handling the ball, Mathieu is behind him, therefore, not making him the last man, in my opinion.
Yeah, No, I get that too. I see your point too. I think Mathieu even is likely to catch Swatch because they're sort of neck and neck with each other. But I'm listen. This is obviously just my opinion. I'm going to lean with Bruno there too because, like he was saying, it is a precedent.
Well,
fucking Ruben Diaz does that to me next year. I'm losing my shit if he only gets a yellow card.
I know, but Danny, for once the VAR got the call correct. Ele não era o último homem.
Yeah, fair.
Well, you know, and that's what I agree with the Bruno and everybody else. Is he going to be called like that next time? Maybe not. You're right. Maybe not. Depends which jersey. And I won't say anything because I don't want, listeners to get upset, but, they get all pissy and shit. But, but it's the truth. Me personally, we'll have a podcast about this, but we should use the referees from other countries, like in the Champions League. They have the system in place, so might as well just say, "Hey, we'll take care of the Portuguese league as well because you guys have so many issues."
Man, I think I'm with you on that. I like foreign refs, but I think the Portuguese league might just need a whole fucking. It's round to their core. I don't even know if that'll be a solution. You know what I mean?
Just get rid of the APAF and make an association of European Association, the referee Europe Association that combines all the countries. And then it could be in Switzerland because Switzerland is usually the headquarters for
the neutral.
Neutral. And then they send the referees to each game mixed together. Linesmen from Portugal, linesmen from France, referee from Germany. And it's fair and square. But the way it is now in Portugal, no one trusts our referees. No one. No one. I mean, when I say no one, I'm saying Portuguese, Benfiquistas, do Braga. Nobody is trusting them.
Yeah, agreed. All right.
But Steph, hold on. One thing on that officiating, you can't have when you're bringing in foreign refs, you cannot have one Portuguese referee on that refereeing team. You get what I'm saying? Absolutely. So you can have a Polish center ref, and you can have a German assistant AR1 and a Swiss AR2, but you can't have any Portuguese.
Agreed.
You can't have that. It's got to be...
And vice versa. Now, or you could even have it by team. You can have a Portuguese team, a Portuguese referee team going to Spain, and vice versa. A Spanish referee team coming to Portugal. I'll be okay with that too, But the reputation and the way everyone thinks that the referees are corrupted and they look at certain jerseys, it's not going to go away. Let's not kid ourselves. It's not going to go away. We're always going to think this way, and it sucks. So the solution is just get an association, European association, that combines all the referees and then mix it up. Let's have a team from Switzerland going to Portugal for the games in Portugal. And then next weekend from Germany, and so on and so on and so on.
I mean, with that being said, I agree with that point with the refs guys, but who's going to pay for all that, right? Look how long it took for the VAR to come in, right? There was all that resistance from the leagues that didn't want the VAR, and the reason why is they don't want to get that money taken out of their pockets, right? So to do that, all the traveling costs for all these referees coming from different countries, then the housing or the hotel costs, all that stuff is going to be taking away money from the league, who already didn't want the VAR in the first place, right? So that's going to be the main issue, and that's always going to be brought up in a debate about why they're never going to do that.
No, but don't forget. But now you have different pots of gold. It's not only Portugal. It's different leagues. We do have an association that represents all the domestic leagues. We already have that in place. So now, if when a referee from Porto comes to Lisbon, he already stays in a hotel. When from Lisbon goes to Açores or Madeira, they already stay in a hotel. So it's the same concept. Maybe you'll have to up the per diem a little bit, but
I mean, but it's still technically local. I mean, these guys still live technically in the country, and then again, they. But
do you know how much it is to go from Lisbon to Paris? It's like €80.
Not even that. Probably even find something cheaper.
It's probably less with doing the portagens from Monte Gordo to Chaves.
Yeah, I think so. Because they call them shuttles.
Well, I see what Steph is saying, and I agree with him.
I agree.
Listen, you know who's gonna.
I agree with my nephew too. He's got a point about money. That's always a factor. But when you have a Premier League involved, a German league involved in French league, that's not even a factor anymore because it's going to be different leagues putting money inside, so it'll be fine. The Champions League is already doing that. All the referees from the Champions League.
But then that goes back to another point, because why would these other leagues want to put their own money into that? Look how they're already doing with the Champions League. I mean, they already reduced the Champions League spots for the Portuguese league and increased it for other leagues.
Oh, yeah, but that would be a total different agency regulating the referees. They would have to come up something. Now we have a PAF, right?
Right.
A PAF, o Sindicato dos Árbitros. And then you have a Liga. So they would have to come up with an association, which they already exist, but they only manage the domestic leagues, and they protect them for super leagues, which actually we're talking about that. All the big sharks want to create a super league. That association is protecting all the domestic leagues, because if one day that happens, then the Guimarães, Bragas, Paços Ferreiras, it's over.
One thing I will say is who's going to pick up the bill? It's easy. It's the federation. The federation says, listen, the federation, don't feel bad about the federation. Federação Portuguesa de Futebol and all the other federations around Europe or around the world. A lot of money, my friends. And you know what? You know, it's so simple. It's easy. They'll just pick up a sponsor. Once they pick up a sponsor, the sponsor will pick it up, the tab. It just comes down to that. Don't feel bad for them. Don't think that it's going to cost a lot of money, because it's not going to cost a lot of money. There's ways around it. The key here is, are these guys willing to do it? And if they're willing to do it, that's fine. If they're not willing to do it, then it's not going to work out. You're always going to have the resistance. We all know that the reason why there is a resistance, it all comes down to money once again, and it's because the bigger clubs didn't want the VAR. The bigger clubs wanted more spots in Champions League, Champions League format, Europa League format, and so on and so forth. It's all messed up as it is anyway, but that's a different topic.
Right.
Yeah. All right, and really the only other controversial part we have on the game, I've actually been trying to look for a video, but anyways, Bruno, take us through the Jefferson foul on Hernani.
Well, the Jefferson foul, it seems like he pushes him, two arms are extended, and he pushes him out of the way for trying to dispute the ball. He's trying to go for a challenge, and he gets pushed from the back. That is they call it a penalty televisão. That's the correct term. To me, if they called that and I won the Taça on a call like that, I wouldn't be very happy. Would I be happy that we won the Taça? Yeah, but I wouldn't be so happy how we, with a call like that. Because at the end of the day, you don't want to decide a major cup on a call like that. But the call, it's a debatable call, and it's a penalty. I mean, the guy got clearly pushed. It's a stupid penalty on Jefferson.
It was not a penalty. Why you keep on saying that?
No, it's a penalty. You got pushed, but
I know. But
again, I'm glad that it was. No, officially no, but there's a lot of official calls that were not called.
Suarez, didn't he join the Navy in Brazil?
Did he join the Navy in Brazil?
I think so, because he looked like a diver. What the hell? I mean, little push, and he got them dive. Parecia os Jonas. Ovla.
O Soares.
Até te fica mal falares nesse lance. Até te fica mal.
O Soares, he's as much of a diver as Bas Dost is. Portanto, no.
Here we go.
Bas Dost.
I want it already.
We're not talking about Nubes and Nubovista. We're not talking about stuff like that. Well, we're talking about that PK. I'm glad it wasn't called, because the intensity of that push you're talking about, it's so ridiculous that Suarez, He didn't even dirty his shorts.
Ainda bem. Like I said, ainda bem it wasn't called. That's it. I mean, it's a call that could have been made. It just was not made, and that's the end of that.
It makes you feel better then?
Does it make me feel better? No. You know what would make me feel better? It'd make me feel better if our strikers would score goals.
Isso é verdade, meu. Os teus strikers vão uma merda.
Yeah, so let's talk about that, Bruno. What went wrong for Porto? Because obviously, as we were all saying, dominating. So why is it though? I mean, you guys have Marega, you have Brahimi, Suarez. How many times did you guys hit the post? What, like 3-4 times this game? 3 times
no,
maybe?
I think
2
it was
times?
2. I think it was 2.
2 times at the post. Renan's made a bunch of saves. Next year, at least for Porto, are you guys looking for Sergio and Peter Costa to get in more forwards?
We have to. It goes. I mean, this one without question is a position. Listen, if you really analyze tactically why Porto was not champion, it wasn't because Pep came in and he changed the defense. It had nothing to do with that. Because the opportunities that are created throughout a game was always there. You're creating 5 plus clear chances to score every single entire game. And we don't finish the opportunities that we had created. If we finish 2 of those opportunities, chances are we would win majority of our games. This was a game that should have been put away in the first 90 minutes, period. Sporting had, I'd say, 2 clear chances. They scored 2 goals. If we had a Bas Dost, out of those 10 chances that we created, we probably would have scored. He probably would have walked away with 3-4 goals.
Hey, mas tu és exagerado. We only had 2 chances.
I said 2. To me, I saw 2 clear chances.
The one
you had the Wendell.
The ones we scored.
The one shot on goal. Shot on goal. You scored 2 goals. Yes.
And that's it.
Front and then the other one wide. The other one wide.
What about Bruno Fernando's shot and Rafinha's shot? It doesn't count.
Rafinha's was off target. There was 3 shots.
Bruno Fernandes is just a good shot, but that's not a clear chance, man.
It's a shot on target statistically.
What I'm talking about, shots on target. Shots on target. Porto had it.
You said we only had 2 and you guys had 10.
We had a lot of chances to score. We had a lot of chances. We had a lot of shots on goal. We just couldn't score it. The first one was a 3 minutes. Otavio, he could have hit it anywhere. He hit straight at Renan, right at his hands. That's a goal that has to be scored. I mean, you're 7 yards away from the goal line. You have to put the ball away, and he hits the goalkeeper instead.
That was a gift from Bruno Gaspar, but yeah.
No interesa if it was a gift from Santa Claus. You have to put it away.
You guys even had the opportunity with Herrera, like 70-something minute.
Renan gives away the ball at the top of the box.
Right at him, right to him.
You have to hit one of the lower corners. What does he do? He hits it right at him.
Yeah.
Right at him. Suarez hit the post, I think, twice. He missed a header. I don't know. He does the impossible sometimes. Sometimes you wonder how he misses these goals. Marega, I don't remember Marega really having any clear shots. Maybe in the first half or whatever, that they were just slow rollers. That I consider those half chances. But I mean, clear chances. We created a good amount of clear chances to score. There's no doubt about it. But we couldn't finish, and this has been our MO the entire season. So to answer, I believe it was Danny. Yeah. Danny's question is, do we need strikers? Yes, we don't need 1 striker. We need 2 strikers, and this was the issue. We decided to go after that. Fernando is not good enough to play at Bolonense. Forget about Santa Clara. He's not good enough to play at Bolonense, and we go and buy him, and we think this guy's going to help us win a title. Are you kidding me? This guy, he is. Again, he's not good enough for one of the top 3. We go by him instead of going by an actual striker that can score some goals. I don't care if we could have brought him on loan. We had to bring a striker that would score goals. And this has been our MO, and this is the one area I think Porto needs. We need to buy 5 players. 2 strikers, 2 wingers, and 1 really good number 10. I know there's going to be people debating Oliver this, Oliver that. Yes, Oliver is a very good number 10. Does he fit in the Cedric Conceição's system is a question. Clearly, last 2 years, the answer is probably no. So if Cedric Conceição is staying, I believe that Otavio will be sold. We'll see.
So what do you think, Steven? Which players do you think you guys need?
Well, Brun said most of it. Now, obviously, we do need strikers. I mean, first off, let's go off over Medica, right? The amount of goals he scored this season, it wasn't as great as the last season, right? In the offseason, he wanted to go to West Ham. What do? We forced him to stay. We decided not to recruit him, and we kept a player that didn't want to play there and said, listen, you're going to come play for us for another year. Once you have a player like that already on the squad that wanted out, he's not going to play to his full potential. That was already going to be a factor. And then we started with Abubakar, and then he got injured. And then we played with Suarez. And Suarez is one of those players where, just like Bruno said, sometimes he misses a lot of them, and sometimes he makes the really tough ones. That's the type of player he is. He's not one of those reliable strikers. So, yes, we do need two new strikers. We need wingers because Corona hasn't worked out for the last couple of years.
This year was good. This year was his best season by far.
I think it was his best, but it's still not enough.
It's still not enough. You're right.
My 2 cents on Corona is that he's too inconsistent.
Yeah,
he's a really good player when he wants to be, but it doesn't show up as many times as you Porto fans especially want it, man. Like
right.
Well, but Steven is on point though right now with Corona. Corona is inconsistent, but this season was his most consistent year out of the 3 previous.
Yeah, and it still wasn't good enough.
And then
it still wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
Well, Otavio is, I don't know what's with that. I mean, that guy, he plays in like...
He's a bench player.
Yeah.
Right, he's a bench player. And then the coach is playing him either striker, midfield, the winger. And I don't think he's good at either of them, honestly. I don't think he's a very good player. And Brahimi, he never really shows up for big games. I feel like he holds the ball a lot. Doesn't make the right passes. I mean...
Brahimi missed I think 2 or 3 guys throughout this game against Sporting in the Taca final. 3 times. 3 times where he, instead of passing the ball to the top of the box or at the penalty spot where there was an open man, he decides to take a shot on his own. He really wanted to be the hero. He knew this was his last Porto game. He wanted to score a goal and be the hero of the game. Instead, he wasn't the hero. He became the villain.
So quick on Brahimi, he had a total of 5 shots, 2 at the target, and if I remember, those 2 were probably straight out of men. 1 off target, 2 shots blocked.
I don't think those stats do justice to how we saw him in the game. I think those stats could mean nothing. To me, those stats mean nothing. He didn't play the way he should have played. He's supposed to be the best player on the team. I don't think he was during that game. Obviously, we need 2 wingers, 2 strikers. We're going to need a left back because Telles is definitely leaving.
I don't think so.
One more center back. And then we're going to need a right back. You don't think so?
I don't think Telles is going to leave.
I don't think so either. I think you guys are selling.
I don't think Danilo. Well, let me rephrase that. If someone comes, see, Telles is the only player on Porto roster right now that they will not sell under the transfer clause, which is 40 million. Anyone, it's just not going to happen. They'll say no. Danilo, I think they'll be able to convince him with, hey, you play one more season. We'll give you a raise to stay, and then we'll sell you after the Euro next year. And I think he'll stay. But other than that, I think everybody else has to go. I think Otavio's going to get sold. I think something around 16 million, I read.
I don't know who would pay that kind of money for him, but if we can get that money, that would be great.
You'll probably be able to get a championship team. Someone in the championship might get him because he did have a very good game against Liverpool. Again, Russia, Turkey, one of those clubs might spend some money.
If he goes to Turkey, that's the end of his career. Turkey is for the old players.
Remember, that's not our problem after that.
Exactly.
I got a question here on the chat. It asks Bruno, but I'll ask both of you. How much do you guys love Herrera, or how sad are you, I guess, from him leaving?
I'm ecstatic that he's leaving. Thank the Lord Jesus Christ, he's gone. We were talking about this off the air before we went on. The loser mentality is over. I really hope that this is true, that he's going to go to Benfica. He's going to sign on Friday with Benfica. If he does, let the bad luck juju go with him. And I hope he brings all the bad luck that he's brought to us, to them. Please, finally, we're getting rid of this guy.
But that's
Well,
I
got
that.
an update on Herrera. He was recently spotted in Madrid, so I'm pretty sure he's signing with Atletico Madrid.
Atletico Madrid.
Don't,
Yeah, that's all
please
I've been hearing too.
Yeah.
Wherever he goes, let him bring his juju with him.
I mean, Atletico Madrid is more his style, anyways. As long as they keep Simeone, they're gonna play that park the bus type of football, anyways. So I think that mentality that he has is gonna work for that squad. So good for him on that. I'm not happy that he's leaving for free though. That was my only thing. I think we slipped up on not getting him on at least a 1-year contract.
Or selling him this summer,
Right,
I
or
should
selling him. Exactly. So I think that's the only disappointment I have. I mean, there's plenty of midfielders like that guy that we could find. So
Yeah.
it's not like a real loss. Again, he hasn't had a lot of big games for us. And just like Bruno says, he does have that mentality where, you know, when the going gets tough, he tends to give up towards the end of the game. So, you know, I'm just mad that we didn't get money out of it.
Take the final. Well, let's take the final because we were talking about this off the air. Take the final. How does Brahimi and Herrera not step up in a penalty shootout and take a penalty?
Right.
Yeah.
You got Hernani and Fernando Andrade taking PKs, and you got your captain just standing there.
Yeah.
But you know what? Like, a lot of people are saying, "Oh, that was Sergio Conceição's fault," and I'm going to defend Sergio Conceição all day because
Hold
in
on.
the spring.
Espera un bocadinho. Maybe they're not good PK takers. What about that?
No, Steph. This is what. Let me get to my point. My point is like, for example, in the spring, I had a penalty shootout at one of my tournaments, and the first thing you do is, all right, who's feeling confident right now? That's the first thing you do as a coach, because you have to ask these guys, are you mentally prepared to take a penalty? And these are guys that probably said, nope, I'm not in. I'm not ready. Put me down later on the list. So right there, that just tells me those are two guys that have loser mentalities. You look at the way Porto has played the last couple of years, last 4 or 5 years, and these guys were part of those teams. It goes hand in hand, and those are your most traditional guys that have been there the longest. I mean, the loser mentality is gone. I'm glad that those two guys are gone. I mean, yeah, I feel financially we bit the bullet. You got to take it, but at least at the end of the day, we do not have to deal with these guys no more. Bye-bye.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think of some questions for Sporting right now, but I mean, Chris, I'll go off with you first. Like, what were your initial thoughts on the 11? We seen, Gaspar filling in after he had a smeller against Porto earlier or 2 weeks ago, has another smeller against the Taça Portugal. We seen what else was the rotation? We seen Diaby in the lineup.
Yeah.
What were your initial thoughts, dude? And how do you think that Kaiser maybe could have done better for us to have a better stronghold on this game?
Well, honestly, it kind of hasn't been mentioned yet, and since it worked out, it's kind of hilarious to think about it. But Jefferson playing center mid, he played not horribly. I mean, he did what he had to. He did what he had to do. I mean, I can't imagine coming on in a more pressure situation like the 110th minute of a cup final. I mean, Jesus Christ. So. Yeah. I mean, maybe it wouldn't have been the worst thing in the world if he started at left back and then Diaby was off, or I don't know if Gaspar was hurt or he just sucked or what the fuck his problem was, but he eventually kind of shifted to the formation that I thought we were going to go with from the start, and he put Elordi in, but then he didn't fully do it because it seemed like Elordi was just playing as a right back, which, I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's just no depth, and it was basically just pick your poison as far as the lineup. And I think he wanted to feel safe with Acuna at left back rather than having Jefferson and Gaspar in as both outside backs, who are both notoriously pretty bad at defending. So, I mean, maybe you can make an argument that, I mean, I just don't see Jefferson being able to fill in at right back. He's a lefty. I don't think I've ever seen him play on that side. But then again, I've never seen him play holding mid before either. So it was clearly a day of firsts. I've never seen Elordi play as a right back either in a 4-4-2. So yeah, I mean, it was weird. Things got weird, and I mean, credit to Kaiser. I mean, he did what he could with the very limited bench that he had available to him.
Sure, fair enough. Steph,
Yeah,
have anything to say?
Yeah, I got a couple questions. One for the Portistas, and then another one for Nando. So Nando, were you surprised when you saw Diaby coming out for Bas Dost?
True.
No, I wasn't surprised, man. I thought that was like perfect Bas Dost moment. Put him on a spot where, like a bunch of our Portistas friends here have been talking about, where Porto lacks guys that will pounce on the ball and score. One thing that Bas Dost does often, that we sometimes complain about, is that he misses some that we think should score, but he also gets a lot of these easy ones in, or he gets a lot of these tap-ins or shoe-ins, or I feel confident with Bas Dost more often than not, getting a foot on the ball to get a goal in, and that's a classic Bas Dost goal to me, right? So the deflection comes right to him. Sure enough, he's right there. Even in the celebration, he almost seemed like shocked, like, oh shit, like this just happened, like this came to me. So I think at that time, Kaiser's mentality was, because it was still tied, right? We took the lead at that point. I think it was more playing for crosses into the box. Hopefully we can get a foot on the ball, and not playing so quick up front with Diaby. So yeah, I was totally okay with that, and I understood kind of, at least that's what I perceived to be the thought process of bringing Bas Dost in. I was totally okay with that. There wasn't a lot of time left. We didn't need him to run around and do too much. Just kind of poach that striker box and take one or two shots and hopefully get one in, and he did.
Okay, sounds good, buddy. Now this is a question for the Portistas, so I'm gonna go with my nephew first because I know Bruno will be super aggressive. So I'm gonna give my nephew a shot to answer first, and then Bruno, you'll go second. So Conceição, agreed. Is one of those coaches you called com raça, which personally I like it too. I don't dislike the way Kaiser is. He's more more relaxed, more calmer. He doesn't get involved in conflicts. But there's moments for that. There's moments to be at another Conjas, and there's moments to be the coach that he's supposed to be. So how come he didn't shake hands with our president?
Oh man, I knew that question was coming. I was thinking about that the whole time. And let me tell you, too, Steph, you know who had a big opinion on that? Of course, my father said something about it. And
his father's Benfiquista, by the way.
Right, he did not like that. And keep in mind, even though he's Benfiquista, he's the same mentality you have. He likes that whole thing about raça. He likes Sergio Conceição.
Yeah.
But he did not like what he did with the Sporting president. And I agree. I didn't like that either. I understand it was an emotional moment. But still, out of respect, you still need to shake the man's hand. And then just to go from behind and whisper something in his ear, I don't know, that just seems strange to me. I think to be a top coach with one of the top teams in Portugal, you got to have a certain demeanor and a certain way of being in situations like that. I get it. We lost. We could all say we played the better game, this and that. I saw a tear dropping out of his eye. Just dried. Obviously, he was an emotional guy, but again, that's still no way of being with the president of another team. I didn't like that, but it happened. Will it affect his future with Porto? Who knows? It really depends on what Pinto Costa thinks about that. Obviously, he didn't win anything this year, so I'm not sure if that's going to affect his future with the club. But I hope he does stay on, and hopefully this would just, be something that blows over, and, we can get back to work and try to rebuild the squad. And hopefully he can use this moment and this defeat as time to reflect on the squad to really rebuild and come back at it next season. But a situation like that, I don't think any coach should treat anybody like that, especially if you had just lost. So again, I didn't agree with it, but it happened.
So Bruno, I'm gonna shift it to you, and I'm gonna add something else. Is this the way your club educates your coaching staff? Because this is not the first incident in Taça de Liga. One of your assistant coaches of the referee of the goalkeepers, he threw a medal at one of our fans. So what's going on? Is that the way it is, La no Norte?
No, I don't. Sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
Wow. I don't think it. I don't think it has anything to do with geographical.
I'm from the north. I'm from the north, caralho. So whatever.
No, me too. That's why I just found it so funny, bro.
But I don't think it has anything to do with that. I mean, I was waiting for Steven to finish because I wanted to ask him a question. Do you know why he didn't shake his hand?
I have no idea.
About something Varandas tried, like didn't Sporting try to get Sergio out of this game, or like they tried to
Correct.
See if he would suspended,
so that's the reason. Yeah, that's the reason why he
Right.
I know, but that's not the reason why. Because and I had this conversation. Better to caralho. Because that's not a good reason. Because anyone that pays attention to Portuguese footy knows that you could say, "Hey, I would like to castigar Bruno Lage or Sérgio Conceição or Kaiser or Abel." That you can appeal, and then once you appeal, that's suspended. And that was going to happen. Anyone that's a little bit smart gets that. So it was not the reason why. That's a reason that you guys cooked up and that you created in your mind.
I don't think it was a reason. It wasn't a reason. I think that's the reason what happened. I mean, when you're trying to kick out a guy, when you're trying to get him suspended behind the scenes,
but you know well enough that when a club tries, and there's only a few days within the final that you can appeal and they'll be suspended. It's never going to happen.
Understood.
It's going to happen for the Supertaça? Não, vocês não qualificaram para isso. I'm sorry. So it's going to happen for the first jornada de Portugal.
Oh yeah, it's going to probably, the suspension's probably going to be given there, or some preseason game or some bullshit like that. But I think it was the principle. I think that's what people are misunderstanding. It's the principle is that he went down that road to try to get him suspended for the game. So it wasn't just the loopholes. Yeah, there's loopholes, blah blah blah. But it wasn't that. It was because the whole principle of trying to get him suspended that pissed him off. And you know what? He did what he had to do, and I support him in doing what he did. I really do. I mean, I know that I'm sounding crazy, but I'm one of the guys that I don't think that he was wrong in doing that. I probably would have done the same thing. And that's that.
I'm one of the Portuguese that I'm totally okay with what he did. Like, to be quite honest, like I went back and forth on that shit several times where I sat there and I was like, all right, do I care about the disrespect, quote unquote, of like, ele presidente, blah, 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 blah. And this has nothing to do with me and how I feel about Varandas personally, whether I like the guy or don't like the guy. But I think that one thing, like Steph kind of alluded, like, is that the culture up north, whatever. I mean, I'm up from north too, so that's funny. But it's more so like the culture of Porto, right? Like, I think Porto in general, like go back and look at the guys, Jorge Costas, Fernando Couto, Sérgio Conceição, Vitor Bahia. You look at these guys who have all had a certain demeanor and a certain quote unquote the raça about them.
But that's still not good enough. That's called
honestly, bro. I feel like that's just a Porto way.
It's a lack of evolution. It's a lack of e chama ser mal criado. The bottom line is mal criado, because o Sérgio Conceição, how the fuck does he know what's Varandas? Sporting has dirigentes.
He came out publicly.
Listen, de certeza absoluta que a ideia nem veio de Varandas. It was somebody else from o departamento jurídico.
But he spoke.
Proposed.
But he's the head of
put a face on it.
He's the head of Sporting. But
he put a face on it.
But it doesn't mean that Sérgio Conceição tem que ser mal criado.
Let me
Well,
just take one step back.
Ideally, would you want, like, would we, anybody here like to see that shit happen? No, I don't think anybody here would like to see any of that happen. You know,
What
president or
happened?
no president.
What happened to Casa Dragão?
Yeah, that was not cool.
What happened?
Well,
They
with
got
our
a fight.
dirigente, bro, and then the fights that occurred and
A mulher do Albuquerque levou dois pinços na tola, ficou com dois olhos à Bolonense. She even became a sócia do Bolonense. And they gave her a year for
bro. It's unfortunate. It sucks. You know what I'm saying? Like shit like that shouldn't happen. We we're
okay, but
I don't think Nando's excusing the violence. I think he's more excusing Conceição's
passion and
yeah.
I'm kind of what I'm trying to get to is I'm trying to feed off a little bit of like when you jokingly said is that something that happens up north? I think it's something that the culture of Porto over the years of creating players and captains who have shown on the field and off the field a love for the team and a passion for their profession and what they do, whether we like it or not. Like I couldn't stand watching Jorge Costa. I couldn't stand that dude. Like that dude blew my life. Sergio has that thing, and Portistas gravitate towards him, like him, and I completely understand it. Like sometimes I wish the Sporting had more that something. You know what I'm saying? This is, and we can get to this.
Olha. So if he's that Portista, like 100% Portista, like we all saying, why is his son playing at Benfica?
Yeah, but hold on. I have to answer that question. I got to answer that question. Hold on. I got to answer that question. I have to answer that question. I have to answer that question because Steph asked why he allowed. I think he used the word allowed his son to go play at Benfica. This is what happened, Steph. So you know. He said right from day one to his boys, I am not going to run your professional life. You guys are going to be men. You're going to make your own decisions, and you're going to live and you're going to die with your own decisions. I'm not going to get involved. I'm not going to give you any type of counsel. You do what's best for you. So he has one son at Porto. He has one son at Benfica. He has one son at Feirense. He has one son at Sporting. And then he has another... Yeah, and he has 5, and he has one that's in the 3rd division. He put all. He's got at least I know. I don't know if one's still at Sporting. I think the one that was at Sporting is the one now playing somewhere in the 3rd division. But he let them go, and he said, "Listen, whoever gives you the best offer, and you feel that's best for you, you take it.
Yeah,
don't matter who it is. You could be." You can be Portista.
Agreed. I'm not saying the opposite. Benfica is one of the best academies in our country in conjunction with Sporting and Porto. I mean, we can be rivals, but we can be, we can be smart, and see what's going on. But all I'm saying is we're going back now to why he didn't shake my president's hand, which, by the way, listen, de mortos por varandas, tampouco. So it's not even about that. It could have been Bruno Carvalho. It could have been João Rocha. It could have been another president of Sporting. It doesn't matter what we try to do. That's your reason. I can't accept it. Well, because he's a professional coach. He should have put that aside and shook his hand for 2 seconds. Okay, thank you. E podia mandar para o caralho na mesma, por dentro. Okay, thank you. Vai para o caralho. E dizia por dentro.
Steph, you know what?
You know why he didn't shake his hand? Because you guys lost. Because if you would have won, you would have shook his hand.
I think he still wouldn't have. I'm actually glad you brought that up. I still believe that he would have not shaken his hand, win or lose.
I agree with Bruno, man. I'll be honest.
And I'm going to say this one, Steph. You know what I'm most disappointed in? Out of everybody, I'm most disappointed with Pinto Costa, and I'm going to explain to you why. How the fuck do you sit next to those ladrões, o Centeno, o Antonio Costa, and all those other corrupt government officials? How do you sit with those guys? Eu mandava todos pro caralho right in front of their face. I don't give a shit.
I could say the same thing. I could say how the fuck does Varanda sendo na tribuna do Porto no estado do Dragão quando a mulher do Albuquerque levou 2 pensos na cara.
And you have every right to every right to feel that way.
And this is my point. Our president swallowed the pill and said, "Hey, it's water under the bridge. I'll be there next to Pinto Costa. to promote peace in soccer or football. So your coach, what he did was a hateful situation, because that only creates problems among the fans. That's the only thing he did. And the only thing he had to do was being cordial. Just shake his hand for 2 seconds, didn't have to look at him, and go on about his business. And like Steven said, he still went behind his back and whispered something. He said,
Ele disse,
se profi... Eu claro que saber o que é que ele disse. He said,
eu vou dizer o que ele disse. Eu vou ao cu à suecona. Ele disse, eu vou ao cu à suecona.
É, sem vaselina, tá bem.
All right.
Well, let me just ask one more thing. Just going back to what Verandas originally did. Bruno, do you think that Sergio Conceição should have been suspended in the first place for putting his hands on Renan Ribeirõ's face?
Good question.
Because that's what this all stems from.
I had this right. I had this debate with my father because he has the same view as Steph. And I said, listen, if you really watch the video, Renan came at, and it looked like he was going after the Danilo while his back was on, when his back was to the Danilo. I mean, when Danilo's back was to Renan. So Sergio Conceição stepped in front, and he just put his hand on him. It just happened to hit his face or throat or wherever it was. But that's the reason why. And then they started talking smack to one another. But I felt that he was going to defend Danilo, because if I'm watching the video, it really looked like he was going to come and snuff him from behind. So that's my opinion. That's how I look at it.
Bruno,
listen, these.
You should switch jobs. You should be a defensive attorney.
I should. I should. Olha, sabes que eu gostava de representar era o Rui Pinto. Isso é que eu gostava.
Sim.
Yeah.
Grande Rui Pinto.
We actually have a good read. Chris found it last night. It's on our Twitter page. It's about Rui Pinto and all this fucking bullshit that's happening in Portugal. So you guys have a chance.
I read that. It's a big article, right? Yeah, it's a big article. That was good.
Yeah.
I did send it to Bruno and Mario and Cynthia and Ugo.
Fair.
You know, and there's people already trying to spin it in some way away from their
as
club.
They always are, bro. As they always are.
But we do the same thing. Come on, we do the same thing. I watched the entire video on CMTV about the cash ball, and I saw the whole. I think it was like 30 minutes long, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if you guys remember. It was a year. Yeah.
Yes.
I forget the name of the guy, o Careca.
Luis Godinho.
There you go.
No,
it was.
Não, é dirigente do Sporting ou intermediário.
Nem era do Sporting, meu. Era do.
Intermediário.
I forgot his name too. But I know what you're talking about. Give me a sec.
The guy was on CMTV for 30 minutes. And then most people only watch 5 minutes. But the interview was 30 minutes. So listen to the whole interview before you give your goddamn opinion. So then when I saw the whole video of 30 minutes, towards the middle and towards the end, he insisted with the journalist, hold on, this was not only Sporting. It was Sporting and Benfica and Porto and other clubs, and they cut him off. They said, no, like they were not interested. He basically said there's a bidding system going on. Whoever pays more gets the calls. So, and then I'm like, wow, what the hell? This guy is actually trying to expand and tell everyone there's a corruption system in handball, in basketball, okay, in patins. And no one really wants to listen to this because they're trying to frame who? Na altura. Quem era? Bruno
My
Carvalho.
boy, bro.
But hold on a second. You know, Steph, you know, they did the same thing with Vitor Catão. I mean, you heard what Vitor Catão said on national television. And how do the authorities in Portugal not race over to the studio and say, all right, buddy, you're going to come with us and you're going to let us know what the hell you know? Because what you said was pretty shocking.
No, I agree.
Till this
agree.
day, no one approached the guy. I'm friends with the guy on Facebook. He sends me videos all the time. I'm not going to explain to you what kind of videos they are, but but I
Now,
will say,
I got the gist.
how to be mal criado. No, go ahead.
não, os vídeos lá do Steph. Ele gosta. I share with Steph. I share Steph. I share
Sem
videos with
vaselina.
Steph all the time. Yeah, sim mesmo. Sem vaselina. And anyway, this guy, what he said, how do you not go over there and start asking him like, all right, buddy, what do you know? Like, because what you said was pretty serious. And until today, nobody.
I agree, because this bullshit about Caspar. When was the last time you heard something about Caspar?
Been like 6 months.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, it died.
And then well, there's a reason why it died, because they would dig in, they would say, oh shit, this is a lot more club than we thought about, because there's a bidding system. The guy said it on the go find the video. Whoever's listening to our podcast or will be listening to our podcast,
I'm searching.
go back to CMTV, and you'll see the guy stating it, and she cuts him off like she's not interested. Now, I don't know why. Because all of a sudden, whoa, it's not going against Bruno Carvalho anymore. It's deviating and going against a lot more clubs. So it wasn't only Sporting. It's whoever paid more. He explained the whole thing. Quem chegasse lá e pagava mais dinheiro que recebeu os calls. Era assim tão simples. So what pisses me off is when I have to listen to rivals, and I shall not say any names, but you guys are pretty smart. And then all is relating Sporting to Cashball, and it pisses me off because and I stop fighting it or answering it, to these morons and telling them, watch the video for the 30-minute video, please. Watch the video for 30 minutes, please. I said,
Porque não querem.
It's not Paulo. Is it Paulo Silva?
Evidentemente,
Não querem, não convém.
acho que sim, senhor assim de idade.
Huh?
Senhor com uma certa idade, like na casa de 50. So, I know we have it on our Twitter, I believe. But
it was like so long ago that now I can't even find anything. I can't find the guy's name. I only see here Paulo Silva, but I don't even think that's right.
No, I'll have to dig it, or maybe when we ask Brito, he's gonna remember.
I'll probably know right away. Yeah.
But anyway, it's just to show you that the stigma of certain things, they stick with certain clubs, because when CMTV made such a big deal when they were attacking Bruno Carvalho all the time, they related Casmo to Sporting, and that's sticking with us. But when you watch the whole video, you can clearly see that a system was in place and a lot more clubs were involved.
Yeah,
that's all I gotta say. And corruption, and we've had this conversation many times. But corruption, if it does exist, and if my club was involved, then if it's proven that we were involved, we gotta lose titles then. I don't care. But I don't want one title that we won with corruption.
Yeah. All right. I really only have one more question left for the Portistas, and then our Twitter questions I'm going to save for next week. So quick shout out to Joel and Kevin. Your questions will not be forgotten. They'll be answered next week or the next podcast, where we dive into everything Sporting and how we feel at the end of the season, et cetera, and what we think we should do moving on in the future. So thank you for your questions. They'll be answered next podcast. My only question, I'll pass it off to Steve, because I feel like I already know where Bruno stands. But from a lot of my Portista friends, I have there's a small groaning community, I guess you can say, of people of Portistas that want Sergio Conceição out. Bro, what's your thoughts on Sergio Conceição? I personally like him, but what's your thoughts?
Well, I got mixed feelings about it. All right, and the reason I have mixed feelings is because, again, I'm looking at the past coaches we've had and the style of soccer we've played in the past, right? And the one coach that comes to mind that I really appreciate the type of football he had the team playing was Andrés Villas-Boas, right? Different type of formation, and it's not the type of formation that Sergio Conceição uses, and it's not his type of style. But what I do appreciate from him is how he motivates the players to play. And, they play with the same type of mentality he has. I appreciate that. And with the circumstances that he had, it's not like he got a bunch of brand new players coming in last season. He had a couple of loanees return, maybe Eder Militao, one other signing, and he still had to stick around with some of the players he's had for, the years that he's been there. So with that being said, when he won the Liga with that type of squad, where it wasn't a lot of, new players or new reinforcements, he did very good with what he had. He used the players he had, and he was able to win the league his style of play. Now, going with this season, obviously we didn't win anything, so that is going to be one mark for me on his resume. Do I want him to leave? No. Do I like his style of soccer offensively? No. But do I enjoy the mentality he brings to the game and how he motivates his player? Yes, I appreciate that. So with that being said, he's two out of 3 for me right now. Now, that whole situation with the president, again, he was emotional. I think that was the reason. I don't think that's going to affect, him going further up with the team in the future. I think as soon as, the transfer window opens, if Porto makes the right decisions on who they're going to get in the transfer market, and if he gets involved with that, and let's say, things work out next season with those decisions, I think we should be okay. So for me, I would keep him on the squad, on the team, and see what next year takes us.
Fair. And Bruno, actually, I have a question for you too. It'll be about Sporting, though. I hope you don't mind.
No, I don't mind.
Keeping along the conversation of coaches, what are your thoughts on Kaiser really, and how he's done, I guess, this season?
I mean, listen, he bought himself a year. This was a win-win situation for him because no matter whatever results were, it was a win-win situation. If he didn't win anything, hey, well, listen, this wasn't my players. These weren't the players that I picked. Nothing like that. And he got to know the league a little bit. I still believe that he still, after all this time, doesn't really know how our league operates. I still believe that. And I think a lot of people are still in denial about he doesn't know how the league operates because there's certain things that go on that he comes from very proper and, a lot of fair play. And the one thing that our league does not have is fair play in many different areas. Now the pressure is on him. So I saw a list of players that he's going to be cutting loose, and he's going to have to bring in a lot of players. The biggest one to fill is probably going to be Bruno Fernandes, and I already gave my opinion off the air about these guys to you guys about that. That's going to be one major role to fill, and who that is, we don't know. And, is Bastos going to stay? Because this might be the last chance you guys get to cash out on a guy like that. Is there another striker that you guys are eyeing? We don't know. I mean, Luis Felipe actually came through toward the end. Yeah. Was that a Kaiser signing or not? I don't know, but it seemed like he finally started to adapt and he started to score some goals. I think Kaiser, a couple of months ago, I was saying that he wasn't going to stay. But I think now he is going to stay. I think they started playing much better, but that was also because you guys were basically on the back of Bruno Fernandes. What's going to happen with Sporting without Bruno Fernandes is a different story. One quick thing I want to mention is I think Sergio Conceição's tactic in the game was to shut down Wendell and not Bruno Fernandes. And I think Wendell was completely he was not part of the game. I think Sporting suffered a lot possession-wise because you shut down Wendell.
I agree.
It was a good play.
Well, Bruno, I got to disagree with you on the Wendell part because I think he was existent. There was one clip where they showed him and his ugly mustache. So, I mean, that was a big moment for me in the game. So, I think there was a lot of impact from Wendell. with that mustache of his. So just had to say that.
That mustache and that suspended. Well, it's not even suspended. He doesn't even have a fucking license. Never mind. That fucking mugshot he must have somewhere.
Yeah.
That mugshot must be amazing.
Bro,
I will say this. I will say this. At one point it was probably close to halftime. I turned to somebody and I said, "Is Wendell even playing in this game?" Because I didn't see the starting lineup for Sporting, and they were like, "I really don't know." And then we finally saw the shot that you were talking
Yeah,
about,
the
where
one shot he had. Yeah.
and I was like,
live.
"Wow." This whole time, I did not even know he was on the field because you didn't hear his name.
Well, you know what, Brun? I think Wendell, again, he was memorable, man, because at one point I thought I saw Zep Pequeno playing on the team. I swear to God, if you guys seen City of God, you'll know what I'm talking about. He looked like Zep Pequeno.
Oh, Zé Pequeno.
Zep Pequeno.
He was doing all the little things. That's why.
No, I think that the little things was basically defending because on the ball he was
Exactly.
non-existent.
Exactly. Midfielders sometimes they go unnoticed because they don't have a key role, and most of the time, if Kaiser told them be more cautious with the defending, that's why.
Facts.
And I think, like I told you, I think Wendell plays more towards the left of the midfield, and he missed Acuna, not having Borja. He missed Acuna.
All right, and then to close it off, unless there's any anything burning that you guys have left to say, any of you guys, it will be the Sporting guys. Really, what is without getting too deep into what our season was? What does this Taça Portugal signify to you? Chris, I'll start with you first.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it's a great way to end the season. You know, I always love the Taça de Portugal, just the history of it. You know, the party that goes along with it, the tradition, playing at Jamor, always the last game of the season. I think that Portugal does it the right way. I mean, you see in England they play it, you know, or earlier in May. It's not the last game. It doesn't seem to have the same sort of, you know, annual tradition. Obviously, it's played at Wembley and all that, but it just doesn't seem the same. So obviously, the Taça de Portugal is one of my favorite games, and you know, it means a lot more than the League Cup. Just, you know, for obvious reasons, mostly the history and the significance of it. So it's a great trophy to win. And, you know, I'm really happy, you know, despite, you know, how lucky we might have been in the game. I'm just, I'm very happy that we were able to get the job done. And it feels good, kind of reinvigorates. It kind of reinvigorated the fan base a little bit, I think, going into the summer now. And I think that there's a lot of, there's a lot of hope, amongst a lot of people, kind of, you know, not to say that if we would have lost this game, it wouldn't have been there, but it feels a little different right now. I think that it's going to be an exciting summer. I'm looking forward to what's to come. And I'm really happy, to be here with you guys and to ride through all the highs and lows, with you boys. So just really happy, and really glad to end the season like this, and wouldn't have it any other way in a PK shootout. Só com penaltis, STP.
That was actually just about to ask Nando that, so you set that up perfectly. Does us winning this in penalties take it away? Because let's be honest, the last 4 titles, 2 Taça Portugals, 2 Taça de Ligas, all through penalties. Does it take it a bit away, Nando, or does that make it even a bit more special? Because let's be honest, that penalty shootout, that game had me on my constantly going up and down in nerves.
Oh, man, it's like Steph said at the beginning of the podcast. Like, if you're going to be a Sportingista, it takes another kind of a fabric. It's another kind of set of bones. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't win shit easily. We don't just win things because it just naturally occurred the right way. Yeah. Being a Sportingista, you're just kind of used to life obstacles. Probably, I'm pretty sure that Portuguese in general would probably sit there and tell you their life stories, and you'd be like, "Oh shit happens with me like that too." And I think it's just part of being a Sportingista. So of course we won in penalty kicks. Of course Porto scored right at the end because we can't fucking clear the ball. And of course we had to sit there and go through 10 minutes waiting before penalty kicks and be like, fuck our lives. Like this shit happened again. So in typical Sporting fashion, like, fuck yeah, you know what I'm saying? If that's how we gotta always do it and that's just how we're gonna do it, then let's keep doing it that way. It sucks for Portishas. I'm sure they sit there and they're like, are you fucking serious? Like again, right? Like we talked about it earlier. It's just one of those weird things in terms of like what Chris was talking about in terms of for the season and salvaging it and this, that, and the other. I think this definitely quote unquote salvages the season. I think that the Taça de Liga win early in the season was a nice little kind of like, okay, like woof, at least we got something under our belt in case we don't win shit the rest of the year. And I think this was a nice little culmination of it. But I do think that it opens up a lot of openings for the team to dissect where it needs to improve on, where it needs to get better on, where if we don't fix X, Y, and Z, there's just one more year that's going to go by that we don't win a campeonato. So I don't want, and I hope, my fear is as part of this, like I hate being so cautious and pessimistic sometimes, but like it really pissed me off listening to Varanda say something like, this has been Sporting's best season in 17 years bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Like I really didn't like that just because we won 2 titles. I don't think that like Porto this year was the Sporting of José Peseiro, o equipa do quase, right? So Porto can say that like, damn, we've killed it all year and then we fell apart at the end and won nothing, had nothing to show for it. Sporting, we can sit here and say like, fuck, like we just treaded water and just kind of like hope for the best and expected the worst, and then we ended up on top with 2 titles. So happy, obviously, we won another title, number 17. Love the fact that that's the Portugal has become kind of like our tradition, especially a year ago. All things considered, how low everything was. But I'm hoping more than anything that this shit propels us as Sportingistas and Sporting as a club to start putting the pieces together, figuring out where we need to get to bring home that title that we need to win next year, because otherwise it'll be more than 18 years. So,
facts. And last but not least, Steph. Again, my last question, unless anybody has anything that they want to add in. Man, it's more of the same, bro. I was gonna ask maybe about Super Taça, but I'll leave that for another day. How significant is this Taça potentially for next season? Without going too much into it, but can this Taça Portugal win against Porto, against a tough team, catapult us to have a bit of confidence ahead of our Super Taça game in Algarve in August against Benfica? Does this trophy, do you think can give us the momentum we need into the next season, or do you think that the celebration ends by the time the next season starts?
No, of course, the winning this trophy and Taça da Liga, which is also becoming relevant. It was 2 trophies. It was not just 1 trophy. I agree that the Campeonato Nacional is the most important trophy. I'm not going to be an idiot about that. That's more than obvious. But winning the Taça de Portugal it was huge because why? Because it gives more confidence to our youth. A reason, I play in a big club. We winning titles. It gives confidence to our sponsors. Because now they know, they going straight to the group stage of Liga Europa. It gives confidence to us, the fans. It gives confidence to the players that will be staying. Confidence to the coaching staff. So this win was really huge. Also to the stock market. We're talking about a team that they won a important title in Portugal, the second best competition. We call that a prova rainha do futebol português. So this was huge because of all the reasons I just mentioned. This when Sporting tries to convince a player to come to our club, it'll be fresh in their mind that we won the Portuguese Cup. So they go into a club that wins titles. A good player, they don't want to come to a club that doesn't win titles. maybe an average player will go to those clubs. But if we want to get good players, you have to sell it to them. Hey, if you come to Sporting Club Portugal, last year we won Taça da Liga and Taça de Portugal when we fought for the Portuguese championship. So it's easier to negotiate with those agents and those players. So this was very crucial for the preseason 1920 to make things easier. And the last time we won the Taça de Portugal was in 2015, by the way. So it's been a tradition to reach the final, but every time we play against the so-called smaller teams like Academic and Aves last year, we lose. So we better are playing against big teams like Sporting, like Porto, or Braga, if you want to call them small. Big teams, I think they're small team. But if you want to play against, it's better to play against Benfica or Porto because we tend to win against them in finals.
Which goes back to what Nando was saying, bro. We're the most fucking weirdest team ever.
Oh yes,
weirdest team ever. Not only do we have to suffer one broken nose during a final, we have to suffer two. Fucking. Not only does our best penalty kick taker miss the penalty, but we end up winning it. It's a weird club, man. It's a weird team.
I knew we were gonna win when Renan fucked up at minute 80, and he gave the ball to Herrera.
Yeah.
And he didn't score, and I said, "Bom, se não marcam agora, também não ganham caralho do jogo." And they didn't. And
but then they score at the fucking last second, and I was like, puta que pariu, only at Sporting.
I know, but that guy, well, in a weird way, I was like, you know what? They tied the game. So we're going to PKs, which is our favorite part of the competition.
Your favorite pastime.
Yeah, so I would still like very calm, and I was like, it's okay. We're going to penalties, and Porto sucks on that. But I gotta give it to Porto. The first 5 PKs were taken the way they were supposed to taken, exception for Pep when he missed it, but Bastos also missed. Yeah. Our best PK taker missed it. So Sergio Conceição, he had it right on. Now your 6th player is always shaky. Even Sporting 6th player was shaky. With Felipe Luis, you saw how we celebrate. Like, I can't believe I scored. So when you're going to the 6th and 7th and 8th player, it's always shaky. But besides that, I'm happy that Sporting won. Huge win for all the reasons I just said. Sponsors, fans, players, coaching staff. Us, the fans, we feel much more confident because now we feel we're winners. So the next season we can be prepared peacefully. And all I have to say is Super Cup will be on the 4th of August no Estádio do Algarve. Yep. And then last but not least, the preseason. If we lose every fucking game, I don't give a shit. That's why it's a preseason.
Yeah. Unless they just have to win in New York against Liverpool. No big
deal. Sim, verdade, caralho.
No, we should all go to that game, though.
Yeah, 100%. If I can get it off work, I'm there.
I might just fucking risk it. But.
Yeah, man. I bought 8 tickets, $1,000-something.
That's it.
I'm getting some money back from friends and Luis, with Bruno knows him, and Mario, they're coming. But each ticket was $126, section 206. Puta que pariu.
All right, guys. Is there anything burning on your chest you have to say? Bruno, Steven, anything?
Free Rui Pinto.
Agreed. Steven, anything?
Nope, I'm good.
No? All right, then, boys. Thank you very much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Great conversation between us, so thank you very much for joining.
No one's trying to kill people here or running people over.
Exactly.
Just make sure you shake my hand the next time you see me, okay?
I'll give you a hug. How about that?
I wonder.
I seen more peace here in Toronto after making the NBA Finals, which was crazy, than I seen on certain images about a certain team winning a certain league title. So. Oh
man, I just call you say in Canadian. Oh man, that's That was a big thing for me.
Yeah, eh?
You know? Oh my god.
You know, yeah, eh?
And
Well,
Canadian.
You know,
Canadian.
yeah, I know, but I have to say, it's always just a small portion like that. Like the vast majority of Benfiquistas, Portistas, and Sportingistas, they're actually great people, man. But then there's always a few fucking it up for everybody else.
But doesn't it always seem to be like those few always seem to be from one certain club?
No.
Bro,
Yes.
No,
If that's majority, the fuck
No.
tend to happen from a certain side.
I disagree with that. Not, you know why? And I have two witnesses. I have so we can finish the pod. I have Chris and Danny. I tweeted 2 tweets. One saying thank you to Bruno Carvalho for putting the team together. I got jumped by Sportingistas. And then I put another one about Varandas helping a lady having a stroke, but she lacked of sugar or something. She was diabetic, and then Sportingistas jumped on me. So it's from the 3 clubs. Let's be realistic. It is.
You know what's the realistic?
Opa, porquê que o Super Dragões tem que cantar aquela canção o tempo inteiro, nem quando o Benfica está lá a jogar? Why?
Oh, who cares?
Yeah, well, but it's a big
We
deal.
do the same thing to me. Who cares, bro?
It's annoying though when you go to a pavilion and then you
you know what else is annoying? Having to hear a Marco Ficini chant every time I have to fucking put
Agreed.
or a Betty Lights chant every time I have to put Benfica.
Agreed, but then we do the same shit. We amanhã amanhecer.
Fuder os lampiões.
Yeah, I know, but that's wrong.
But
that's wrong.
I feel you, man.
No, that's totally wrong. And that's all. That's also
wrong, but it feels so right.
Yeah, I know. Levantou-se para o caralho, pá, pronto. I was trying to make
whoever said that was the smartest man on the panel.
Easily, Christian's easily the smartest man on this panel, bro. All right, boys. With that being said, I still have love for Nando and Steph, who are the tied for second smartest guys on this panel. I'm obviously down to last, you know.
No.
Steph, Nando, Christian, thank you as well for joining us.
Too late.
Too late.
My feelings are hurt, bro. I gotta go to bed like that.
Sorry, bro. It happens, man. Anyways, boys, thank you for joining us all. Thank you, everybody in the chat. Johnny Signero, Mario dos Santos. Who else am I forgetting? And our boy Nicolaj Filhão. I hope I said that right. If I said it wrong, sorry. And everybody else that's watching, don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Sporting160_EN. Instagram Sporting160EN. Have a look at if you guys are still looking for merch, spreadshirt.com or .ca, and search up Sporting160. And with that being said, I bid you guys adieu. Thank you all for listening, and yeah, ciao. Be on the lookout for next podcast. We'll discuss end of season stuff. Yeah, bye. Viva Sporting.
Viva fair play.
Have a